Hello, Mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
Alright, hello and welcome everyone to the episode 155 of the First Circuit Podcast. We have our usual hosts today, me, Biter. We also have Ian.
Hello.
And Bob.
Hello.
And today we'll be talking all about Mechwarrior 5 and its various DLC launching stuffiness, so let's get right into it. First things first, let's talk about the pricing and the new Jump Ship edition.
Yay. Let's not linger too long on this, but just to get it out there, you can buy the DLC for $20, or you can buy, if you haven't bought the game yet, you can buy the Jump Ship edition, which includes the base game and both DLCs and the digital art and soundtrack for $60 on Steam, GOG, or the Microsoft Store if you really want to punish yourself. And on Epic, it's $12 cheaper for some reason. I don't know if that's region specific, but apparently Epic is cheaper.
Rather have it on Steam, but that's just me.
There's always the you're using Epic's game engine after all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it makes sense. That would be
there's an
cheaper.
extra cut when you're doing it on other platforms, I imagine.
Yeah, so basically PGI is like, okay, we're paying less on Epic, so we're gonna make you pay us less, so that PGI basically gets the same profit from all platforms. And I don't know, I really like this move. I think that's great. Just giving the savings to the consumer rather than pocketing it.
Okay.
It's quite nice just having a single product you can buy and store rather than having to go through and buy it several times. It's just so much hassle.
Yeah. So yeah, Jump Ship Edition completely surprised us. This was actually something I had planned to talk about for a future episode, but hey, no, we have it already, so.
I
good
liked
move,
what
PGI.
Harebrained Schemes did, of course, with their DLC was that you could actually buy it in one bundle, and this again is just helps make things more convenient. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Lots of game
Convenience
studios do this. It gives you convenience, and people will pay for that.
Yeah. And then talking about platforms, just a quick mention, you can now get the game basically anywhere, right? You can get it on PlayStation, you can get it on Xbox, you can get it on the Xbox Game Pass, you can buy it on all the usual PC platforms. So yeah, consumer choice is amazing. I love it. Alright, so let's dive straight into it. And maybe before we go too much in depth, can you summarize your opinion of what the game is like right now and maybe give it a number in like a sentence or two? Bob, go ahead.
Okay.
I believe in you.
My last review was 6.5. I brought it up to 8.25. Just because I actually felt it was more lore based. I'm a lore freakazoid, so I liked it just for the simple reason, and I brought it up because of that. And you felt like the immersion effect was a little bit better than the other DLC and the other game itself, or the standard game alone.
Yeah. I'm gonna just jump in there and second you. My rating now is gonna be a solid 8 out of 10. In my opinion, the game with the DLCs, so talking about the Jump Ship Edition, is now a full game for full game pricing, and I can actually recommend Mechwarrior 5 now.
Yeah. I sort of gave it something like a 5 out of 10. I said it's a barely functional product to start with both DLCs. Both of them have added lots of bells and whistles each time, and now you have lots of things to bounce around and play with. The UI and the actual game cycles of the game are functional, if not necessarily very inspired. So it has improved, but it's like a 6 out of 10 now.
Okay. Sounds fair.
Alright, still some diverse opinion here on this podcast.
I'm still the highest. Yay, 8.25.
Actually, I believe last time I gave it the highest rating, and
Yeah,
then
you
I
did.
lowered it again because I got frustrated after playing it a while. Alright, so Biden's already touched on the UI and some more in-depth things, so should we go through the DLC features first and talk about those?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Alright, let me find the proper section in the launch day intel page. Legend of the Kestrel Lancers, there we go. Let's just go from the top.
Okay.
First off, of course, the big marketing thing and why the DLC exists. is the campaign Legend of the Kestrel Lancers.
Mhm.
So, quick question. How much do we want to go into spoiler territory? Because on the one hand, it's the fourth succession war. Every Battletech fan knows all about it already.
Mhm.
On the other hand, I mean, technically spoiler?
Well, I mean, they tell it inside the like inside the outro. You're in fourth succession war working for the Kestrel Lancers, so I mean, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: you're in
I
fourth
don't.
succession war. Okay.
Yeah, all of us, I think, have actually done the campaign at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
the way it's structured is that you thankfully don't have to spend too long, messing around in the sandbox to get through all the missions. In fact, it's a completely linear campaign. You're on rails throughout, unless you want to abandon it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, fourth succession war. Let's go over the first one. The first part actually.
Yeah,
So
that's what Biter said is probably the good intro point. How do you get to the campaign when you play it in career mode? Because I think they did it pretty well. Bob, do you want to give us a rundown?
Yeah.
How can I play the new campaign? I'm
How can
excited.
you
I want to get into it.
how can you play a new campaign? Well, let me give you the good point and bad part. The good point is when you do a new campaign for the Kestrel Lancers, you do get fairly substantial mechs to use, really big ones. So it definitely helps. You get like I think like 6 to 7 good mechs. And then if you're playing like a normal campaign, like through the not going through that, then jumping into the Kestrel Lancers, you only get a little bit of stuff. The the problem is that it was a little bit confusing at first because I didn't know actually about how you can't have your campaign past 3026. If you do, you can't join the Kestrel Lancers and do part of the thing. And I think that's what pissed off a lot of people about the game. And you have to either start from 3026 or start from 3014 when the first career mode starts, like in the game itself. That was confusing. Like when I was actually streaming it. So I don't know. That's pretty much how you get
the
into the campaign.
I
You have a
like the
pick.
I really like the new career start where you start
Yeah, yeah,
many years into the career already with a half decent setup,
yeah.
and you have a bit of time to mess around and improve your setup before you're going onto the rail tracks,
Hmm.
and that's very convenient, but it's not necessarily very obvious that that's the way to go forward.
Yeah,
No,
so
no.
at this point, probably put out a quick warning. If you've already played career mode, there's a good chance you won't be able to access the new content because it is locked to, I believe, June 30, 26 is when you get the first event pop up. And if your campaign has advanced beyond that, you can use a save game editor to set your campaign back to 3025. Though I've heard some reports that if you modify the year in the save game, the campaign might just explode in your face. So
Yeah.
A better method, I think, would be importing your save. That when I went through starting a new career mode, I select the Kestrel Lancer's start point, and it says, "Do you want to import and save?" You can import something that's obviously much, from a much later save point, or from an even earlier start point if you want to go hardcore. So yeah, just import the save. I think that should work as long as right now all the mods are busted. So if you have modded content in one of your saves, that might be cause issues with importing.
Yeah, yeah, there has been a lot of issues with mods crashing this game. I know the infantry mod wasn't working. I don't know if it's working now though, basically.
yes.
But
Okay,
yeah,
sorry
yeah,
for derailing, but we have to touch on that. How
yeah.
hilarious is it that that even
Official ones,
PGI's
yeah.
mod didn't work?
Exactly.
Just god
I
damn it.
I just want to take pictures of them and see how they look really up close, but that's just me.
Like
I know.
the modders are faster than PGI at updating their content. It's just hilarious. But yeah,
Yeah.
infantry is currently still broken as far as I'm aware. So
Yeah.
yay. Future
If it were
hotfix.
like a PGI mod to add just a single mech to the game or a single variant, then you would imagine that should be something that isn't tampered with too much. But if you're in a big update, you're doing a whole bunch of reworking the script, how enemies spawn, how maps play out, etc., etc. How infantry spawn in those maps is kind of an important script that might not be compatible. So in my head, at least, infantry are more complicated than some of the mods out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you to summarize real quick, you get a new starting point if you start a new career mode. That starting point is gonna put you right before the start of the campaign. You're gonna get a pop-up real quick saying, "Hey, by the way, new content." I don't want to say too much about it, but yeah, you get an invitation to a field exercise basically, and you have 6 months to prepare your mechs for that. And then afterwards, you get another invitation for another thing that's going to happen in BattleTech lore, where you get another year to prepare for that. So effectively,
Yeah.
you have 18 months to modify the starting point of the new career start. Or as Spider said, you can import stuff, or you can take one of the older starting points, and you have a bit more time to prepare if you
Yeah.
want that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then from there on out, the new campaign is very linear. You don't even get access to star map. You can't even see what's happening. It's just you can click depart, and you're gonna get sent to wherever the mission is taking place, and then you just power through it. And you can abort it, but if you abort it, you're out.
Yeah. Or your $20 is gone. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a very linear campaign. What do you guys think about that? What if you preferred a more open approach where you can take time in between, or do you like the way they've done it?
Well, the heroes of the Inner Sphere, they did that for the hero mechs. Basically, you just go anytime you want to, go and pick up, the Orion or the, just whatever mechs are out there. I don't mind it. It was just confusing at first. I, like I said, I don't mind it now. Now I know exactly how it works as far as the linear like campaign. It was interesting. Well, in fact, I'll probably get into that. I'll get into that like later. But it was fine. Yeah, like, I liked it. It wasn't that bad. I mean, most games are
So
linear like anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I didn't mind, going through the same series of challenges. The thing is, obviously there is an escalation in sort of the tonnage you can take and the forces you're up against, and it's not necessarily clear how, like, to start with, I think I was over tonnage. I had a lot of strong stuff. I actually bought a Banshee just before, so early on I'm powering through with a Banshee, just deleting things. And this is the Banshee with like the 48 kph speed, so
Yeah.
it's not spending so much on the engine. um, it's got more pod space effectively, more firepower. But later on in the campaign, like right near the end, I have a big battle. The Banshee takes a ton of damage, and there's not enough time to repair it for the big final fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you have a lot of enemies to go up against. And at that point, I'm sort of running a bit thin on all the heavy mechs. I was like, haha, I came in here with like 2 lances with heavy mechs and an assault, and I didn't expect them to ramp up the challenge so much, and that's something that can catch you out if you're not prepared enough for it.
That's what I was gonna say for later on though. I did like that though. That was I didn't expect it. I think it was like 6 missions or something like that, where you got to go through and like I'm like, oh my god, man, what am I gonna do? I was running there with like light to medium mechs trying to complete the missions. So it's like okay, it was
Yeah,
great though. It was a lot of
yeah,
nail biting type stuff.
yeah. So let's maybe talk a tiny bit about balance. So obviously, so okay, my impressions are gonna be from the Kestrel answer starting point because that's the fastest way to get into it. And first off, what I really liked about that particular starting point, you right off the bat get 2 special missions for the Towering Concordat and the Canopus
Yes,
Secrecy. Bob
yes.
was
hmm Very excited about
celebrating
that.
that
Yeah,
particular one,
on Twitter. Yeah.
where you can get 2 heavy mechs, a Marauder and a Warhammer. And that is exactly the time until the mission starts. So you can really prepare for the Kestrel Lancers. And that's kind of, I believe, the intended starting point. Like your actual start and then those 2 mechs on top of that.
hmm
And
Yeah.
so the campaign starts out, as Byron already said, it's very escalating. You have to kind of think about what you're going to bring, in what order you're going to bring it, and you have to queue repairs immediately, even if you're in a war zone because you can't go to a transport hub. What I did very much like about it, though, you're switching planets a couple times, and every time you get access to a market where you can buy fresh mechs. So if the mechs you brought weren't enough, and you're really desperate, you can just ditch your damaged and critical mechs and buy a fresh one,
hmm
which
Yep.
I think was a really good option for a player who are struggling a bit to tone
Yeah.
up. mid-campaign.
Like the game gives you plenty of sea balls, so I
Yeah, it
think
does.
I checked the store and I was like, ooh, an awesome, and I just picked up a whole fresh awesome and just stripped out the PPCs and put in like tier 4 PPCs, and that was what I used to carry me for the through the entire end of the campaign, because obviously 3 PPC pinpoint is really efficient.
Yeah. Salvage is a bit weird. As always, Mechwarrior 5, you're not really getting a whole lot of salvage out of those campaign missions. But yeah, being able to buy mechs is nice. And just a quick note, if you haven't played a campaign yet, it's worth waiting until the end of a particular event chain, because then you're gonna get a discount.
Yeah, definitely. As far as salvage, though, I think they changed the values of them though, because I've been noticing, like even with like say 19 to 25 or something like that, I'm picking up Marauders and Warhammers when normally in the normal campaign and the normal game, you're looking at 37 or 39 basically, for like salvage for them. I noticed that. Didn't notice that. Like I noticed
I
No.
the
don't
salvage scores were
think it
actually
changed. It
lower.
looked very much the same.
Huh.
Like all of my mechs were barely out of range. I had to kill the side torso on the big weapons in order to afford them share-wise.
Hmm.
It
Yes,
felt like
same.
before.
I I'm that's just something I just noticed myself, but
A big
Maybe you
could be
just
feature.
wrong.
accidentally shot off the important stuff.
A big thing to note with the Kestrel Lancer start point is you're already quite good friends with the Deviants,
Hmm.
and that means you get a whole bunch of bonus shares right from the get-go.
Yeah,
You save a whole bunch of grind where you're slowly becoming friends with them, where you have hardly any negotiation points. With this whole campaign, you should have just max negotiation points, relatively speaking,
yeah,
and
yeah.
should be able to buy like all those negotiation shares and you always have like damage coverage for a fair amount of it.
God,
So
yeah.
you're usually you can get a lot of C-bill payout and share and
Yeah.
salvage. But yeah, I came across the issue just that even though the campaign is expecting me to ton up, and I'm doing things like headshotting mechs, I can't claim the mechs because I've only headshot them. Now, headshots are still efficient. It means you take very little damage, and that means I can more easily guarantee I'll be in for the next fight. But efficiency is not rewarded by better equipment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So at this point, I am gonna mention I found a mod recently that allows you to buy extra salvage share points in the salvage screen.
Ooh.
So basically, if you need 1 or 2 extra shares, you click the thing and you're gonna pay an extra fee for that. And I'm gonna heavily recommend that particular mod for the campaign if you're playing it fresh.
I'll link it down
I think
below.
that's really gonna fix a lot of the smaller pains for you.
That's cool. I like that.
Yep. For me, like Final Fight, I headshot a few cataphracts, can't afford them. There's a stalker, I think, that I called out through the CT, and well, can't afford that. It's 30 shares, and I only have 27.
Hmm.
Yeah, gameplay wise, you're in for quite a challenge, or at least an escalating challenge, and you
Yeah.
have to be. It's a very different pace to things, but you do have the options as long as you figure them out in enough time. That all right, when they give me a Zeus, for example, I think at some point, I should totally equip. I should change the equipment of that Zeus, for example, because I'll need the tonnage, I'll need
Yeah.
the armor
Yeah.
in the upcoming battles.
I mean, it was
Um,
nail biting though, man. To tell you the truth, some missions I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna do this with like a half armor and half weapons, the arms off? It's like I gotta do it though. But yeah, it was good though. Like I definitely like how they set that up though, as far as like repairing your mechs and all that kind of stuff.
yeah. Um, let's just give us a moment. Is Ian completely gone?
I think he's rebooting Discord, I believe. Okay. Anyways,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He'll be back.
Um,
Yeah, he'll be back.
so, Bob, how was your feelings on the actual like storytelling of the campaign?
It was good. I definitely like it. One of the things that like I'm a lore freakazoid, so reading all that stuff was kind of it was good because like just like Ian said, there was that the Canopus one, the first one. I was so excited. It's like, yes, we're represented in the game, type thing. So I
Fuck
was
the
happy
fourth
about.
succession war.
Yeah.
That's not important. I get a Canopus quest line.
I want. Yeah, I know. I told Chris that I'm like, I want a Canopus one now. Damn it. But yeah, it was. The storytelling was really good. How they did it. First you're part of a a war game type thing, which is kind of interesting. And you read more and more like into it, you get more and more into the game, and how they did the acting was really good. Actually, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
For the voice acting, did a really good job. A good job in that. But it made you feel like you're part of it. As far as the lore wise, my mech units helping out the Kestrel Lancers. That was
Yeah.
kind of cool. That was really neat. I
And
liked it.
I do want to point out I've reread the BrioS trilogy literally a day before launch, and the accuracy to the novels is high, like
Oh, really?
really
Okay.
high. Like there's some inaccuracy in the marketing,
Hmm.
and there's a bit of an inaccuracy towards the end because obviously the mercenary company doesn't exist in lore. It's something that BGI has thought up for Mechwarrior 5.
Yeah.
But they integrated it so well that for the most part it's completely lore accurate, which blew my mind, honestly. I did not expect them to pay that much attention to detail.
Yeah. I feel like talking about the I only did the Toria and Concordat mission. Um, that one is your typical sort of old fare where it's just you have a huge text box and you just click the accept button and you just do a generic mission and you do that a couple of times and in the end you get some nice rewards. And for that Torian one, there's just a big old fight at the end, and it feels like the original game. Just they throw swarms of enemies at you.
Yeah.
Um, as but the actual Kestrel Lancers main campaign has put a lot more. They put a lot more work into it. Like there's actual cutscenes and things like that. But the majority of what is going on is learnt through text boxes still.
Yeah.
The
And I can, sorry to interrupt you, brother, but I
yeah
can actually add some information here because I did have a conversation with the lead narrative designer, Chris Lowry from BGI, and he pointed out that the cinematics were something that were not in the initial scope of the DLC, and just something they could do at the end because they had a bit of time left. And that's also the reason why we've only got the 3 cinematics rather than
yeah
the 4 that probably should have been there. So
Like towards the end, basically, they should have had one at the end, right?
yeah, there should have
Yeah.
been one at the
Yeah.
end, but they didn't have time for that.
They were
And yeah,
good
I do
though.
want to
yeah
point this out
Yeah.
just for future reference if anyone from PGI is listening. I know I've said that on Twitter so many times, but the cinematics were, in my opinion, one of the best parts about this DLC,
Yeah.
and they should absolutely be a requirement for any future linear campaigns you do.
Do you know what freaked
Because,
me out
as
though?
Bob said, the voice acting was
Good.
superb, especially on that first one.
What freaked me out though was when the first cinematic when they had the jump ship and the drop ship and everything taken off. I was like, yes, they finally redid all the cinematics for it. Then I looked at it, and then the next one I'm like, oh man, I get the same stupid drop ship coming in, and it's like, oh god, no.
Yeah, I
I
was
was
like,
all,
oh, cool, new animations. And
yeah,
then, that's one time. Oh, god damn it.
exactly. True.
yeah. So the way I would pass this is it's not just the matter of the cinematics. It's that the missions have a much more feeling of place to them
Hmm.
than your generic missions usually do. Like the battles that take place are quite thematic, generally speaking, to the places that you're going to. So I really liked you're going to Capellan space, so obviously you're finding their mech factories. You're doing stuff like getting ambushed in the jungle. I think that
Hmm.
was a very flavorful mission. That is
God.
exactly how Liao normally would like to fight. That the CCAF
Yeah, that made me
forces.
hate Ravens, by the way, like after that one.
Yeah, just they're using ECM, technology to disrupt sensors, and they're coming in with SRMs and charging in with, lots of, light to heavy mechs. They're not necessarily swarming you with atlases, but these shocking tactics are quite effective nonetheless. And I
Yeah.
really like that kind of
Yeah.
thought put into the missions that you normally just don't see elsewhere in the campaign, and that really just sort of helps sell, the the cutscenes plus the actual scripted missions taking place in actual locations make the whole campaign feel like it is taking place somewhere rather than just on generic maps, auto generated with just
Yeah.
enemies sprinkled around.
True. True.
Oh, can I do a random hot take, though?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sure.
Fahad was the worst part of this DLC.
What?
Oh yeah, kind of, yes.
The what?
I
Like, say it
would have
again.
much preferred if they had not included the
Your
character
your
Fahad,
your mech
the
tech
mech tech.
Fahad.
I didn't even see that guy. Like what was he for?
He had some voice lines
Oh,
that
okay.
just, I don't
So
know, didn't fit into the story.
Yeah, I
My
was
opinion.
I was like, okay, cool, whatever, man, just whatever. And I'm gonna go do the missions now, type thing. I didn't really notice him that much.
yeah,
That's my new guy then, right? That's my new mech tech guy.
a through line throughout most of the missions was trying to point out, oh, we're doing missions for these people, but these, things are kind of messed up in this universe. So, it's just sort of like, all right, we're going to go in here and attack a city or whatever. And, your commanding officer or Fahad would chime in and say, but there's civilians around here. This isn't nice. And it's like, oh, well, I'm, the guy who's paying your bills. So just shut up and do the job. And it's just like, yep. Yep,
Mm.
there's we're not just the gallant heroes on this story. Oh, look, there's an ancient dropship. Well, do you remember dropships are used to kill people? War is bad. I think that's basically it. Just that your crew will chime in and say war is bad, and I mean they're not wrong. It's just this is a war simulator game, and I don't know.
Yeah.
There's not much moral exploration that you can do because it's completely linear. There's no optional choices where you minimize damage or try and rescue civilians or go out of your way to be a morally upstanding citizen. It's just your crew say that war is bad, and it's a little annoying.
Mm.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like some of the stimulation, especially you had a conversation, quote unquote, with some of the Liao commanders, who kind of pointed out their point of view on the Fourth Succession War, because obviously all the Fourth Succession War stories, or most of them, are told from the Federated Sons and Federated Commonwealth point of view, where they're obviously the heroes in their own story. And I like getting some of that. There are always multiple perspectives on every event in there,
Yeah, yeah,
but when your mech tech mid-combat mission just grabs a microphone and starts talking to the commander of the combined allied forces in the system, like, what the fuck? At
Yes.
that point, if I was the commander, I'd be like, shut up your mech tech, or I'm gonna have him shot after this.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was immersion breaking in mid.
Yeah, I would find that weird. I would probably have him shot too, or thrown out the airlock or something. But since I'm a mercenary unit, I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's just that's unheard of, big time.
Yeah, so even the props I give to it is that the places have a sense of place to it. You're introduced to what place we're going to, and you have fights that feel like you're actually fighting against the Capellans. Normally just in this game, all you ever do is it's always just boxing matches with other mechs. But being actually ambushed, having more pacing to the battles and things like that, it feels so much more interesting than just always just boxing with random mechs scattered across the battlefield. The downside, though, is that what I think. If I were to sum up this whole campaign, it's a step up, a huge step up from the original campaign. That was just spread really wide and thin, and it just doesn't really have that much sense of place. This one has a sense of place, but it's still PGI sort of level storytelling. War is bad. Yes, I get it. I don't have any choices. I don't have really any options. Huge, giant text boxes of people just talking to you are nice, but it doesn't necessarily mean that have a lot of interesting things to say. It's usually just, oh, hello, Commander. Thank you so much for helping me out. We were in a tough bind. Let me tell you. Don't you remember when you were in the mission and we said we're in a tough bind? Well, here's a huge text box saying I'm in a tough bind and you saved me. Well, anyway, we're still in a tough bind, so we need to do something about it.
Like you're right about that though. As far as that point, I do want to bring up though that say Sarna, which was the kind of like the educational mecca of Lao, and then also like like Tukov, I think it is. Like where they have the major mech factories and everything, and I thought it was cool as a lore standpoint. They actually had those in there, places that they're fighting, and how you're jumping into these different locations and messing things up. But at least it had that lore of what's on the planet, what the planet's all about. Here's is if we hit this planet, this is a reason why we're hitting this planet. To knock out the mech factories. There's a reason why you're hitting the planet to go knock out the like I guess educational like facilities like of it or something like that. But there's reason why you're coming to these planets. And I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, and I'm actually quite surprised they managed to fit in so many different stories. I honestly was half expecting to just be stuck on one planet for the whole thing.
Yeah,
Since
yeah.
the fourth succession war from the Fedsun point of view was basically just 6 waves taking the hour, taking part 2 months apart each. And like realistically, with pairs and Mechwarrior 5 travel times, you can't take part in all 6 waves.
No.
So I'm still surprised they managed to fit in that much lore. And yeah, as you said, with the places that had a connection, all the units were lore accurate.
Yeah.
They put in the proper mechs, like with the charger rebuild from the whatever that factory was. I forgot the name. The Ravens, obviously, the cataphracts and such.
Yeah, Chargers are
Yeah,
now really, really scary. It's
Oh yeah, those
yeah,
big chargers definitely were scary when
exactly.
they pop in there out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
because those are ones that haven't, put all the tonnage into an engine.
Yeah,
They actually have some proper
Yeah.
firepower.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's just that better storytelling, but it's still kind of campy. Like the very first mission, you're doing a joint warfare operation, and it's your typical stuff where it's like, oh, we're House Steiner units, and we're way too proud, so we're just going to go in and be suicidal. No, we are the proud Davian people. Please wait for us. No, I'm proud Steiner guy. I'm going to charge in and die piecemeal. And that kind of presentation is, is a little bit throughout, where you're just going to have people going, war is bad, or others going, oh, ha ha ha, we have done evil scheme. You are dumb dumb. No, no, we are the proud, people, the Davian peoples, whatever. You shut your stupid face. It's quaint, but not necessarily something that fully drags me in.
I'm gonna kind of disagree on that though. I felt that the immersion effect was a little bit better than anything I've experienced in MechWarrior 5. As far as
It's
you
a
feel
step
like
up.
it's a
Yes.
yeah, it's a definitely step up. And for them, yeah, doing the stuff that yeah, war is bad. That's just a lot of times I wasn't even listening to that. I was actually just concentrating killing mechs, so I didn't really get to that point basically of like
Yes.
listening to these kind of things. But I feel that they did a good job at why you're there and how you're fighting, who you're fighting, and the conversations were kind of cool, like the ones I listened to. And I thought it was fine. The immersion fit, but of course I'm a lore guy, so it's a little bit different for me because I got excited like, oh yeah, Force Succession War, cool, that kind of thing. But that's just me though, like compared to other people.
Yeah. One thing that just a little pet peeve to mention is I think they have put a voice disruption effect on enemy microphones. So when you're hearing enemy comm chatter, it's really hard to actually understand what the hell they're saying.
Well, it's
And I have to rely on the text box basically acting as subtitles.
well. The thing is, like, I found weird. It's like when I hear someone like, "I lost my arm," I'm like, "What? One of my mechs lost my arms?" No, it's them talking on their own chat box, on their own comms. Like, why in the hell am I listening to their comms? Basically, like, in the middle of battle, like, I want to listen to my guys, like, their arms off, so I make sure I could jump into their mech and get them out of battle. So I did that several times. Jumping into that mech, going, okay, what's happening? What's happening? He has both arms. It's like, okay, no, it's the other guys talking. It's like I'm gonna punch out. It's like why would I hear your comms? They should be encrypted, type thing. It's like, why the hell would I do that?
There's allied mechs that you can hear comms for. There's enemy mechs, and of
No, it
course
was
your
the
own
enemy
lance
max. Like, it was
mates.
enemy
Yeah,
max.
yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
talking about.
I'm just saying
Yeah,
that could easily quickly get mixed up
yeah,
because there'll be someone saying like in comms, "Oh no, I've lost all my weapons," and I was like, "Was that the Phoenix Hawk that I just disarmed, or was it the allied Cataphract that was just disarmed?"
yeah. Exactly, exactly. Okay, I think we're getting off of the
Anyway, I think
mark here. Yeah.
yeah. Enough on the campaign. It's a step up, but it's still a little cheesy. It's PGI.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tad on the nose, but I thought it was a really well executed campaign.
I feel like I was part of the Force Succession War. That's just me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna say I need more cinematics and I need more of the main voice actor for
Yeah.
I don't want to say the name, but honestly, whatever. Jackson Devian voice actor, I need more of him. That voice actor was amazing.
What's
At least
next on
compared to other ones we had before.
Yeah, I did like the dynamic just personally a little where you had, him sort of saying, all right, units, everyone move up, blah, 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 officer stuff. And then, one of your people chime in and, war is bad. And then, because I'm issuing commands to my lance, I have one person who usually chats a lot and they're just like, kill, 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 I'm a psychopath. Just
Blood sack, I
immediately
think it is.
afterward.
Like it's a blood sack person, right? Like I'm gonna pop you
Yeah,
like a blood sack. It's like what?
yeah, they're a bit pill crazy. So just the tone was great.
It's
Yeah.
okay,
Okay,
cool.
maybe one final thing, because it kind of belongs to the campaign, the battle scenarios. I was honestly a tiny bit disappointed by the battle scenarios. I was hoping for more mechs on both sides. What did you guys think about them?
Well, they came in waves, basically, as far as like on
Yes,
Sarna, they came in
yes,
waves
they
pretty
did.
much, like 6 mechs, like 4 to 8 mechs or something like that. Um, I didn't really pay attention to the battle scenarios. I was just more pay attention to what's going on in the game. Like they say like go kill this, okay, I'll go kill that. I didn't recognize the target kill one, like whatever that one was, like which is just like assassination, I think it is. And they had a couple other like they said new ones are coming out. It's like I think what was it Beachhead is the same as something else. You got to kill some
We're gonna
guns.
talk about that in a second. I was
Okay.
just referring to the battle scenarios, which are part of the scripted missions.
Oh, they were good. They're good. I liked them. They were really, really good. Then, if it's just that, then that's fine. They were awesome. I felt like I was part of it. Felt like I was there.
Okay.
It was good.
I'm honestly just we only ever get text lines explaining, hey, by the way, we've added submission stuff. I'm never really clear when those missions play out. Usually in
Yeah,
this game, what you do is you spam the accept button until eventually you're on a map and you shoot all the bad guys in in a huge boxing match, and that usually works out
yeah,
fine.
Effectively, yeah. Yeah, so the
Yeah.
battle scenarios were the ones where you spawned with a friendly lance, and then the objective was kill all enemy mechs, optional help your friends survive.
yeah,
Those were the battle scenarios.
yeah. They
And
were good.
yeah, I was a bit disappointed, honestly, because the enemies dropping in waves, and it didn't feel like the grand open battle I was hoping for. But
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
hey, at least it's variety. So maybe we'll get the grand open battle in the
And
future.
how'd you like the warship though? That one?
Yeah, there was the
Oh, the
warship in the
warship
main campaign
Yeah, that was
that
big. That was a
resembles a
big one.
battle.
terrible.
Really?
Great setting, but terrible.
Oh, I thought the setting
The
was
worlds
awesome.
popping in and out of existence, worlds becoming invisible when you look at them from a certain distance,
I didn't see
meshed
that.
areas where you get stuck in. Oh
Oh wow,
god.
I didn't see that actually, but I liked the scenario though. I thought it was pretty cool.
I only had issues with the pop in, but you never really were engaging that long a range that there was issues. Like if I zoom in, the walls popped back in. But
Mm.
for me, it was just the fact is there's like 10 mechs all crammed into a very tight area. It's like you're all fighting in the basement in HPG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool stage. I just felt it could use a bit extra polish.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think your allies are always just useful enough as sort of bullet shields that you sort of want to just balance
Yeah, they
out
were.
how much damage your lance is taking and their lance is taking.
Yeah.
It's just you
Yeah.
can't coordinate very much with them. They're usually sort of just waddling around, and they follow the same kind of script as your AI does. Just if they see a target, when there's like a radar scan, they'll just start waddling towards it. So all you could do is sort of just join them in the slow waddle
They
towards the
always got in
enemy.
the way too. A lot of times, always got in the way. Like all the friendly mechs, and my mechs, they always got in the way. I was like, get the hell out
Well,
of the way.
Bob, you know what I say in Mechwarrior Online? If I get in your field of fire, just keep shooting. That's my
Okay.
fault.
Okay, that's
That's
fine.
how I
Man.
feel in
That's
Mechwarrior
fine.
5 as well.
Yeah.
All right, then moving on from the campaign, large city urban combat, obviously the new city biome. Yeah, I'll let you guys go first. What did you think about the new
I was
city?
highly impressed. I mean, the first time you fought in a big city where you had to steal some documents or something, that was awesome. I mean, I was, like how like we're talking like before, where we saw a bunch of open like areas. Those are like little tiny buildings, parking lots, stuff like that. And then you got to the big gigantic skyscrapers. And at the first time I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. They did a really good job on how the tile sets are. They did a really good job on the details and everything else. Of course, the little buildings you just go right through them, but it's just, I've, like I said, man, I can't say this enough. I felt like I was there, type thing. So it was just amazing. It was there's so much going on. There's so much stuff all the way around, and did a good job on that. But okay, go and
I
say
feel
the bad
like
things about it.
the more tile sets are nice, it adds variety, but ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
you're usually sort of pacing around the open space, and you only make use of terrain so much in this game. I will say, at least with city fights, It's nice having a break from always having cliffs as the
Yeah.
way to break up the map. Instead, you just have buildings that create more interesting sight lines than mountains, because with mountains the AI always steers clear of them anyway. They're not going to be stuck scrambling on top of a mountain. So instead, with these buildings, you can pop in and out of them. The enemy can run behind them and stuff like that. It's a little bit better than the usual sandbox, but for the most part, it's your usual sandbox.
Yeah, I'm honestly with Bida here. I was a tiny bit disappointed. You still have a lot of long-range vision within that city. It wasn't quite as cramped as I was hoping, but it's definitely still interesting. And I think once I get used to it and probably understand how you're supposed to play that map, it's gonna be a lot of fun with more diversity in there.
You can play more like MWO in the city map. Just
Yeah.
you can take a bunch of PPCs, kablam, hit their CT, run behind cover, poke out again, kablam, hit their CT, and just win really efficient trades. It's much nicer for trading.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, then next bullet point are the new Mech Variants. I mean, we've already said that there aren't too many interesting in there. I shall
No.
open up the list while you guys give your quick impressions.
Always, it's just all the variants are always spread so thin. It's so hard to actually come across them or even encounter them. My mech Pokedex, I met only like half the mechs by the end by the end of the campaign. So, yep, there's new variants somewhere out there in the world.
I was
Shrug.
Biter in this one though. I didn't really notice. I wasn't paying attention to that much. I just kind of looked at him and go, okay, this will look good for a battle, for a mech. Go and use that. I didn't really like notice that much.
Like there are a couple interesting things in there, like the Archer. One of these two, I forgot which one, gives you an extra missile slot. So as your backup weapon, you can take SRMs rather than lasers. And like the Grand Dragon is obviously a fan favorite, but for the
There's
most part,
the Blackjack, I think, is that the one with the double heat sinks, like one of the first double heat sinks ones? It should be appropriate because it's around the time of the Fourth Succession War.
I don't know. This is definitely a Deviant variant with the lasers.
Uh,
The one you
yeah.
start with the Kestrel answer start.
Because
don't think it's
I
double
think
heat sinks.
because the Capellan one is also like lasery, I think, with the double heat sinks. But yeah, in the end, I just can't be bothered keeping track. In this game, you're always just making do with whatever mech happens to land in either your salvage pile or in the the
Yeah.
purchase.
Yeah.
Like, why did I purchase that Banshee before heading off into the campaign? Well, it just happened I landed a node with a rare mech, and it was the Banshee, and it was like, yep, this is actually a good mech. I've been saving up for it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, more variants, more variety, but nothing really game changing there. New garrisons. Yeah, I mean more variety for the maps.
Yeah, for the first one, they had like the cannons. Again, the first
The guns
first
are
one,
cool.
yeah, the guns were neat actually.
They don't add all that much.
It's just something new to go and put in there, which is fine. Basically that's a bonus.
Those big guns are a bit damage spongy. I mean,
Oh,
they are
God, yeah.
bigs,
Yes.
but
Yeah, they
You
were.
wanna know how I killed them? With machine guns. Machine guns were on my mech the fastest method of killing them. I don't know if I critted out their components or something, but PPCs
I
didn't do anything to them.
I had a Kintaro loaded up with SRMs, and I made sure to control that so the AI wouldn't waste all the ammo. And then I punched the cannons to death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also a good way. Yeah, just punch them.
Yeah.
Then new biomes we've already talked about the mega city. Of course, there's also the jungle and the turbulent desert biomes.
The jungle was
heavily
awesome.
featured in the campaign.
The only issue I had with the jungle was literally you had to plow down some trees in order to go and see any type of sight line because you couldn't see crap basically. But that's about it though. But other than that though, it looked beautiful though.
Yeah, while running around the jungle biome, I'm just constantly scything down trees because they're
Yeah.
such a nuisance. It's the opposite of the city situation where you have much more interesting lines of sight. With this, it's just everything is occluded.
Yeah, definitely. And the Termaline thing was there. It was a Termaline thing.
I fully agree on that. I don't think Tourmaline is that distinct. Jungle, though, has a lot of pretty scenery and is a different kind of map. And yeah, definitely bring an extra medium laser that just constantly sweep in front of you so we have some kind of
exactly. Or set the trees on fire like with your punches.
Yeah. And the last point, new procedural content, random rewards, surprise artillery for raid missions. I have to be honest, I haven't played that many procedural missions on the new DLC yet, but I've heard good things about the rewards, so more variety again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah,
And
Melee or
well,
what's your
that wraps
next?
up just the paid part
Yeah.
of the
Okay.
content.
Yeah.
And
these are all the
yeah,
paid features. So real quick, obviously $20 for these kind of features. If you look at the Steam reviews, you can definitely see some people who are saying this is absolutely not worth the money. And I just want to give my closing thoughts on the DLC. I think it's very much story focused. If you're a fan of BattleTech lore, if you like the Fourth Succession War, or if you just want a linear campaign, it's definitely worth the asking price. I think it's very much worth $20 extra to get this really cool campaign. If you don't care about campaigns, if you just want to play random missions, then this is very much optional. It doesn't add anything you really need.
Good point. Actually, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, if you just want to just go collect mechs, just go ahead and don't get this. You won't be living um you won't be leaving anything out of your game. So yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, it's very much that main campaign, and also just the other extra campaigns just give you that much more content to run off and do. It really does help flesh things out, but for the price they're asking, it's a bit much because everything else is spread very thin.
Yeah, and that's also something that Chris said on Twitter, that they were kind of worried since they kind of front-loaded all of their interesting features into the first DLC with all the new equipment stuff. And from now on, DLCs are most likely just going to be story-focused. And I don't know, man. I really like it. I
I was
think
fine
more
with it.
story is what
Yeah.
Mechwarrior 5 needs.
Yeah.
And I believe at this point, if it's very much possible to start on 3025 and not play a single of the completely random missions. Just between the campaign, the priority quests, the hero quests, and the new DLC missions, I believe you can get through the game completely without ever touching a fully procedural mission, which is really cool. I like having that option.
Yeah.
Yeah. I much more prefer the well-designed content, the stuff that they set down works
Yeah,
well.
just like you said, if they just did campaigns like this, I would still spend, I'll still do the $20, no problem at all. Just because I like the stories, I like the being part of the missions, being part of the universe type thing, and but like you also said too, if you're not caring about the lore or anything else, you're just mech collecting, going outside doing normal missions, I wouldn't buy it.
Like the thing with just adding more equipment, I don't care so much about that because it just adds way more issues with replacing equipment and building your mechs and stuff. It's just so much hassle. Like even with this campaign, by the way, I think at the very end they gift you, like a very useful, very rare weapons. Like I think an ultra autocannon. The
Yeah.
thing is, they didn't give you any ammo.
Yeah.
Oh, did
So
they? Oh
Yeah,
no.
they didn't. Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't
Well,
realize that.
the rewards at the end were kind of meh. Basically, they were. I thought it'd be something else. They, and I think they kind of skimped on that. They should have actually had something cool, and then an ending cinematic. Just something
Yeah,
there that like made you feel like yes, I was part of it, type thing.
yeah.
But they were kind of meh. It's like I looked at them going, that's it for all the stuff I went through. Are you kidding? You
Yeah.
know.
That is another point that Chris explained, though. You kind of want to balance this. This campaign is supposed to be mid to end game. It's not supposed to be end game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they can't just give you all the cool toys. And I do agree, I would have liked something like, at this point, the Wolfhound was a fresh prototype in the Federated Suns. And, getting Wolfhound at the end would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand their reasons for not giving you more.
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah. It's just they give you that and an AMS with no ammo, By the way, I did actually buy ammo from another random store. So
Mm-hmm.
I did actually have AMS. I did have ammo for that, but of course no mechs could use it.
Yeah. I
So
know. Huh. Yeah. I know.
and
Yeah.
from the random store, it's a much higher tier AMS. So blah blah blah. In the end, it's just I don't care for the equipment. In the future, if they're doing more DLCs, I would much more prefer handcrafted content where you do more missions because that will just help flesh out the game and give you so much more variety than the usual boxing matches.
True, true. Okay, so that was all the paid content, the legendary free update details. We're looking at the HUD revision. What'd you think about that?
All right, we're on to the free content, aren't we now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I just have to so all right, first what was it? The HUD. You can actually have the proper reverse mech doll, so that it doesn't just show the back armor plates, it shows like the whole mech, like the limbs and everything from the rear view,
Yeah.
which makes things a lot less confusing. Just in my head, it's just so annoying just sort of seeing this little tiny box at the back. Instead, it's just the same doll, just flipped, and it's way easier to. It really helps with readability. Um, I'm not so familiar with all the other ones. What was it? Oh, minimap to the bottom center. Yeah, just little changes here and there. I don't remember
Yeah.
what other things are really
I mean, to
important
tell you
in
the truth, like, I'll be honest, I didn't really notice much about the HUD. I did notice about some other things, though, that I think I'll get down to some of the other things down here. One
I don't
thing,
think the HUD
oh,
is a nice little quality of life
yeah,
change, but
yeah,
perhaps the biggest meat and potatoes though is we should get into the melee.
yeah, yeah, the melee basically.
Okay.
I know for the melee, like when I did it the first time, it has to be a secondary weapon, big or a third weapon, because once you start getting in close range melee combat, like I went up against a cataphract with my warhammer, and we beat each other to a pulp to the point that I couldn't finish the mission. That warhammer just got so beat up, and so like I think that melee is awesome. I love the idea. I love it. I was kind of mad about it at first, but then when I started looking at it, yeah, it's a neat little weapon in case you're overheating and kind of run in there and get a couple chops up, haymakers in there. But don't use it as a go-to type thing, because you're going to notice your mech will be very effed up, like after one mech.
Yeah. Well, at least for the next few days, and then you're gonna be able to download a mod with melee weapons, and then it might be a viable primary weapon.
Okay, yeah. Wait for the mod to come
For
out,
me-
basically.
But yeah, for me, melee completely fulfilled my expectations.
Yeah.
Okay, to be fair, it looks and feels a lot better than I expected. It's very satisfying to punch stuff. But yeah, damage is underwhelming. You need to get really in their face. Sometimes the hit detection is a bit weird. And just basic things like you stand in front of the enemy, he faces you, and then he starts slightly twisting right as you punch. So your punch goes past his torso because he started twisting, and he's now 18 meters away rather than 17 he should be. So
I
He
didn't notice
juked
that.
you.
Yeah.
he juked you,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a bit finicky, but if you acknowledge that it's just a backup, just some flavor, then it's
Yeah.
fun and satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately the use scenarios are always very kind of mixed. Like if you're there's just a few scenarios which is if you're faster than the enemy, you're usually smaller than them, you're a light mech, so you don't really want to go too close to a medium, a heavy, or an assault, because they'll just get free extra damage on you. So even if you can catch up, you don't really want to punch them. If you're slower, you're an assault mech and there's a light mech in front of you, well, in this case, you would really like to punch them because you do a huge amount of damage and they're just a little light mech. Why do you care? The only thing is, of course, they're a light mech, and the AI thankfully doesn't just charge in pell mell and start punching you to
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah.
They will avoid getting too close. But this just means if you have a punch that's worth anything, you can't really get close enough unless the enemy make a mistake. So it really, I just don't usually have that many scenarios where it's useful. And even if, let's just say, it's heavy versus heavy or something like that, in Mechwarrior 5, effective damage is very, very important. You want to kill the enemy as quickly as possible. To that end, you want good ranged fire. You focus your whole lance on one component, like the CT or legs. Um, to that end, though, because melee has this delay and it's kind of clunky and slow, and you're blocking your lance mates when you're doing it, um, it it you're splashing your damage all over the place, and you're radically decreasing your time to kill. Like it just takes forever to kill enemies if you're trying to use melee. You should just shoot them.
Yeah. As far as direct your punches, I couldn't even do that, man. There's no way in hell. I can't see where I can't see where the punches are going to. I just hit the punch button and then it hits, and it's like, cool, I got 17 points of damage, and that's all I know, basically. I don't know where exactly it hit it or anything, and that's one of the things that they probably need some type of mechanic for that or something, because you're in your cockpit, you can't see your arms to know where they're going. You know what I mean?
Well, they're going where you aim, so it's
Yeah,
not.
but
In some cases, it's easy, but if you're in an atlas trying to punch a spider,
hmm.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't even see the spider in front of
I
me.
never got to the point where I just punched, basically, and hopefully I'll hit him, basically, type thing, and that's it. Never got to the
The
point where I started targeting.
Keep
best I
aiming, and
had
you're probably gonna hit their torso.
Mm.
The best I had was time with melee was with the Kentaro,
Mhm.
because Kentaro has a decent speed to it. It has SRM 18, so a really good punch to it in firepower, and SRMs reward you getting really close with pinpoint damage. So I get real close, I'm smashing their CT, and I shoot them and then I punch them as the final blow, and that's basically the only time I use melee. It's just the final finishing blow.
Yeah.
For me, I used it a whole bunch when in some of the year just kill all the mech missions. When they drop a crap ton of light mechs, they do tend to get close to you because they like
They're
zip
running around you.
in front
Yeah.
of you, one in front of you. So you occasionally they're gonna get melee range and just might as well get that punch in. With a spider, it might hit them.
Yeah, if you're fighting in a large open plane, they have easy enough time keeping distance. But if you're fighting at a choke point or next to a cliff, they'll often just run into the cliff or into one of your allies, and they'll just go, "Oh no!" And you have a chance then to punch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god. Now I remember when you said the AI feels like tier 5 pilots Mechwarrior Online, and that running into a cliff and panicking, that feels so like Mechwarrior Online.
hmm
Okay, so
A little note, just by the way, whilst melee is useful, I had way more fun with just a single streak 2 on my Banshee.
I agree. Streak 2s are surprisingly fun in Mechwarrior 5.
yeah.
Yeah, they really amp the damage up, and sometimes it's just getting free damage hits on like locusts and things. Like I give them a laser alpha strike to the leg or CT, and that streak 2 just finishes them off. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, how about switching mechs now?
Well,
These switching mechs
let's
like
real quick
feature.
just finish up melee. Melee are free actuators. You don't have to repair them. They come pre-installed and all things. You don't have to replace them. So it's just free extra stuff. And it's mapped to weapon group 5. I did see some confusion about how do I melee? Well, look down. It says right there on weapon group 5. You can map it to another weapon group.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
just keep that in mind. I have mine usually on weapon group 3 because that's a convenient thumb button on my joystick. And
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
I put my melee always to weapon group 6 personally, but I did have issues with larger mechs. I'm starting to run out of weapon group. 'Cause
yeah,
I had medium lasers, large lasers, AC-10, Streak 2, Flavor, and Melee all wanting to be mapped. And I also want to have a separate map button for the large laser that's on the arm so I can shoot down helicopters. That's 7 weapon groups.
yeah. If
Yeah.
you run the Mechwarrior Online kind of builds where you're super hyper focused and only need 1 or 2 weapon groups, then melee is gonna be fine. If you want lower precise loadouts, it's gonna be pretty hard to fit in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you have to make do with really weird mixed loadouts, and that was what I was sort of doing there.
Yeah, freaking Zeus, man. That's the first time I piloted a Zeus dead campaign. AC5
I
is
I
surprisingly good,
I
but
was a little foolish. I threw the Zeus into cold storage because I was just like, I don't want to equip it with LRMs, and I have enough mechs as it is. Like, I prefer to use anything other than the Zeus. So it just wasn't worth my time refitting it, particularly since it was going to take like 80 days to do
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Okay. Switching mechs, the Y button, basically. How'd you guys like that?
when you need it, it's amazing. And I feel like the campaign has some missions that are precisely to showcase this feature.
Yeah. You bring up a good point when you need it. They still haven't fixed AI when you have 3 assault mechs in front of you, like 100 meters in front of you. They're firing at this guy, and then he ignores all 3 of those atlases or like whatever, basically, and runs towards you. And just every helicopter, every tank, every mech on the field starts gunning for you, basically in the background, and they ignore all the different other guys. Like even if you're all in the same type of mech, it still has that issue. And the Y button's great because you can switch between them. Basically, say, okay, fine, I'll soak up all the damage with this guy. I'll jump to the next guy, soak up the damage, and do that. Plus, also too, it does help when you get mech stuck. I had an issue with the mech factory where mech was getting stuck all the time, so I switched to him and got him up the ramp to go up, up the ramp there. I like it though.
Yeah,
So-
for that particular mission, also to mention, if you have jump jets, you can skip part of that mission, make it a whole lot easier on yourself. And yeah, I did that mission. I did twice because on the first one I just went through without destroying that optional objective, and I just got beaten to shreds by the turrets. And then on a second mission run through, I realized, holy crap, I can switch mechs and I have a quick draw. I can just switch into my quick draw and jump up there.
Mhm.
That's so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
With
kind
that
of the example
mission,
if you need it.
yeah, with that mission, I only saw like the 4 turrets to start with, and you shoot those down before you could even reach the generator. So for me, it was a completely useless objective. I didn't have any problems with the turrets. It's just like 4
There were a
turrets.
bunch of 4x82 turrets towards the end in a very open part of the mission, immediately before
Oh,
the end. And
right.
that
Yeah.
kind of shredded
Yeah.
me because I didn't see them fast enough.
Mm.
Yeah. I charged him with Katara and everything died instantly.
But I
That
do
makes
like
it
the
easy.
switching thing. That's
Yeah. Yeah, with
okay.
mech switching, my personal take is that it really helps with gameplay variety, which was a huge issue I sort of had in the initial playtime with the game. Is that with how mech pilot skills work, you really sort of, and how loadouts work, you sort of want to give certain mechs to certain pilots so that they can learn things. But that always meant also the commander, you might as well always be in the best mech because you're the best damage dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can give the best damage dealer to the pilot who's actually most skilled, and you can switch to that pilot. And if circumstances change, you can switch to that mech too. So, oh, I don't know what map I'm going. Is it going to be snipey map or brawly map? Where will I be most valuable? What will I be most valuable in? Well, I'll take both mechs, but if it turns out to be a snipey mech, I'll use the awesome. If it turns out it's a brawly mech, I'll use the Kentaro. And it's really great being able to take both mechs and switch to them rather than having to
Yeah.
load back a previous save and put the commander in it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
also very interesting. Usually I have two classes of mechs, like the player mechs and the AI mechs. And the AI
Mhm.
mechs are dog cheap in my games usually. And now I don't really have the distinction anymore, and I'm less afraid to give my expensive mechs to the AI because I know if something goes wrong, I can switch to the mech and keep it safe as possible at least.
I mean, let's still put in there though that the AI still has some issues, basically, as far as like what to do
Oh
and all
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
100%.
Yeah, but yeah, like you bring up a good point. I could jump in a mech if it's getting hammered and basically do something for it instead of actually it just getting hammered and you lose it.
And
yeah.
also during the campaign, a couple times where my mech got stripped because I like doing close range combat.
Mhm.
And then I just stood around there waiting for my AI to finish the last round mechs. And then shortly before then, I realized, holy shit, I could have switched into a different mechs 5 minutes ago and ended this mission.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I need to get used
Yeah.
to the feature, but it's really cool.
It's not a feature that you necessarily have to use in the middle of combat, but it really helps just even out the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So just some things we were wondering last week. When you switch to a mech with the orders you gave before stand, except for the mech that you switched out of, that one just kind of resets and starts following you because it didn't have any orders at the time. But the other two mechs are gonna follow the last order still.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's as good as it could be hoped for. And I had a particular issue with my throttle. I use a throttle. When you switch a mech, the speed resets. So in my case, I had to just take my throttle and pull it back, put it back forward to get back into full speed. And I assume if you have throttle decay on keyboard, it's gonna be the same thing where you have to just press W again
Yes.
to
Yeah,
move
yeah.
forward.
In the time you're transitioning over, even though all of you are going forward at the same pace, the mech you're switching into will stop
This is
because
a
you're
little.
not inputting forward.
I'm gonna go a little bit off topic though, but did you notice that it wasn't really a arcade game per se? That had more mechs than actually vehicles, or they kind of toned down the helicopters attacking you and the
Yeah.
vehicles attacking you. They
Yeah,
toned
Yes.
for
that
the campaign.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they toned that down, and I just want to put that in there. That's good because all the times before it was just it was like shooting out or like pretty much. But this campaign, they toned down the amount of vehicles and stuff, and they replaced them with mechs, which I thought was a much better idea.
I
Yep.
agree. There
Very
were
much
still
so.
plenty of helicopters,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah,
bit less annoying, yeah.
yeah,
The
definitely.
helicopters, you can always sort of see them coming along the horizon. You can snipe them down very easily. They are the nice civil. They're the simple trash unit that they can throw at you.
Yeah,
Whereas the thing with tanks is they always spam like the AC5 tank, the Scorpion thing, I think,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
And that thing
Yep.
has very good range and can always chip away at your armor.
Or the
And
AC2 one.
yeah, there's AC2 ones. There's the Manticore thing with like PPC. A lot of tanks have long range firepower, which is really annoying to deal with when they're low. They're low and hull down and miles away, and you don't even see them.
Yeah,
They always just get
yeah.
the first shot in. Whereas aircraft, they always have to sort of fly in, fly around you a bit, and then they start shooting. So Yeah, turrets as well, by the way. I feel like in the past, turrets were just scattered, like breadcrumbs across the map. They had no control over them whatsoever. And the way it seems that turrets work now is they're usually only by bases. Like they're much more deliberately placed, it feels like. I'm not just finding turrets out of the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I
Just
can't
throw it out
comment. I
there. Sorry.
haven't played enough procedural.
Yeah, I did a lot of the procedural maps, and I can say, yeah, there's a lot less stuff being spammed. Usually, you're going to have a fight when you actually approach the objectives, rather than just the fight ratcheting up when you approach the objectives. Because,
That's cool.
yeah, in the past, it was just being swarmed by enemies, and they've improved the scripting. They realized they went way too much with the
Yeah,
spam.
definitely.
Going completely off topic for one sec though. Your mechs trample allied tanks, I've realized.
Really? Oh wow, didn't
Yeah.
notice that.
I had multiple friendly heavy and assault tanks being trampled by my AI pilots.
Well,
So
they
keep an
go.
eye out for that. Keep your lands away from friendly tanks.
Well,
Yes.
and they're supposed to protect the town, but yet your mechs are blowing through the town, walking through
Yeah.
it. It's like okay.
Yeah.
I had that with the Turian final mission, is you spawn with a large amount of allied light mechs and allied tanks. And that is a nightmare just because the light mechs like running around quickly and the tanks like getting stepped on. I mean, well, they're going to get stepped on with
Yeah,
that many light mechs running around.
exactly. Hey,
Right.
audio. What'd you guys think of the
Yeah,
audio?
new audio. I didn't read this section before the patch, so I was blown away when the first time I killed a chopper and actually
Yeah,
had the as it fell down and then the way better explosion. So giant props for the VTUL SFX,
definitely.
the new ones. They're really good. I like them a lot.
Yeah. When I first heard it, it's like, what the hell is that? It's like, oh my god. But yeah, it was really good. Did a good job on that. I definitely agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the most notable change, and I really like that. It really made it significant when you actually shot something down. And now that they aren't spamming you with it so much, you don't hear that sound so often.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can enjoy it.
Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
enjoy it. Yeah. Like off topic
The
though, like I was gonna say about the UI, because it just came to me, is the power up sequence. When you shut down, you power back up. It has
Oh
a
yeah.
basically a little
Mm.
bar and then like little I don't know, I guess an Xbox symbol, like whatever it is.
It's just a power. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
regular
power
power
thing.
button.
I thought that was cool. Basically, have it in there. I thought that was really neat. So when I had that in
It's
there.
nice knowing how long you have to wait rather than just
Yeah,
sort of come on, come on, come on, come on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So yeah. Sorry. I'm just for me. Going again, listening to the game. I did like the new music that they added, like on some certain missions and stuff. But in general, like the game always has like rock music blaring in the background, and it kind of mutes out. It just drowns out a lot of the footsteps and other noises in the game.
Yeah,
yeah. Explosion SFX more audible. That helped a bit with that being drowned out, though I still found the directional sounds are still not quite there. I am hoping
Yeah.
for some more improvements on that in the future.
okay.
On a really good note, though, cooldown sounds and especially cooldown complete sounds, those were
Mhm.
such a big help to me.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were actually. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
Especially-
mean, made life just so much more easy, even if it's just a subtle little, you kind of know when your weapons are recharged. It really helps with like lasers because, short burst, regular burn duration, several different tiers, the durations keep changing, and it's kind of hard for me to keep track with the sound effects
yeah.
help.
Yeah, you can't really do muscle memory, so you're forced to just either spam the button or look up, and now you can listen to it. And especially lasers are really audible. I found lasers way more audible than most other weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still had issues, by the way. I thankfully didn't have any missions fail because I was ordering my lance mates around too much. That glitch didn't occur for me again, but the clicking of mouse buttons, that did still have issues. It sometimes feels sticky, and I have to use the number keys above, which is annoying still.
Alright.
Thankfully, though, I'm not being swarmed anymore, so I'm not so worried about the AC-10 not working all the time.
Yeah.
Can't say I've had that issue on joystick.
Arm swing sound effects when you hit somebody, it's kind of satisfying when
Yep,
you hear that.
obviously.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, obviously you should add that with melee.
Yeah, definitely.
But
That
could you imagine that if the melee out was broken? Oh god, that would have been a shit show.
I do like the sound of melee. Just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sound of your mech kind of it's making a movement like it's actually moving
Yeah,
and
true,
exerting
true.
itself.
Did a good job on that. Good
It's
job.
satisfying is the main word to summarize melee, I think. All right.
And new gameplay options.
Yeah, just some minor extra stuff. You can disable X-platform play from gameplay options. I believe that's the crossplay with PlayStation and Xbox.
Okay.
I'm not too certain.
Okay.
You can mirror the paper doll.
Okay.
I get confused every time anyway, so whatever. Thankfully in Mechwarrior 5 we have the left and right there, so I can just look at
Yeah.
the letter below it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I always mix them up anyway.
Controller issues. I cannot disable enable co-op notifications. Just just convenient things you can have inside gameplay options. I don't think I even noticed any of these actually, but because I probably don't use them.
Yeah.
A lot of these are quite trivial and
Yeah.
So
in the
I
end.
think the left-hand mode is gonna be super useful for the people who need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, most of those people are probably used to the inverted mode anyway, since most games don't have that. But yeah, accessibility options are always amazing.
Yeah. What's a safe zone area? I never understood that. New graphic options.
I don't know.
Player reporting feature is accessible from the pause screen or a pause screen. Okay. Don't know much about those.
This one's pretty cool. Negotiation upgrades. So usually when you negotiate your points and then go into prepare your lands screen, you're stuck with what Aries shows. Now you can go back and change it if you
Okay,
feel
yeah.
the need. So
Yeah,
Yep.
it's really good. Really good.
This part sounds really cool on paper. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot about it, so I haven't used it.
What? That's in there?
But apparently you can now use leftover negotiation points in future missions.
I never saw that actually.
My main issue has been that there's a hard cap on how many points you can put into salvage most of the time. So I haven't consciously used that feature, but yeah, when you have unlimited points, amazing.
Okay. I'll have to look into that. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it only really applies when you have a huge surplus, which usually isn't sort of the case. But I did notice, at least in the main campaign, I'm getting max salvage, I'm getting match C-bill payout, and I'm just like, well, I can't get RT, so more damage coverage, 2 million damage coverage, please.
Exactly.
I mean, let's be real, damage coverage is so useful. Like, especially in the campaign when you want to switch out your mech. Like, on the market, there's an awesome that you want to buy, but your mech base full. What's the most efficient way of buying that? Putting a mech in cold storage? Now, fuck that. You go into a mission, send that Shadowhawk forward to die, get the money for the Shadowhawk back because you have damage coverage, and then you put the wreckage in the cold storage and buy the awesome. That's just mercenary thinking right
I'll
there.
have to try that. I never thought about that way.
Get your employer to pay for things you no longer want.
Yeah,
Way better than
exactly.
selling it.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Go forward, Locust, go. Oh god, that's funny.
And here, and have the Locust charge in and try and do as much as it can on its own.
Right before it dies, and like you're in the mech, you hit Y.
Yep.
And then, especially, the pilot acknowledges the order, and then you think like, should I just send someone to die? Whatever, as long as I get the money for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Okay. Polish to home screen. I didn't notice that, but I wasn't paying attention to that. Industrial and instructional text for how to play co-op games in campaign mode. I don't think I've seen that actually.
I haven't played co-op yet with the new features.
Yeah, I have. It's there. Improves the lighting in Leopard UI. I can now see the freaking guards. I can see their faces now. Like I can see what they're, like what they look like. That's about it. Fahad and co-op player models. They don't. It does I don't know why they actually added that in for the co-op models inside the mech bay, because all we do is jump off the railing to try to jump on top of each other. That's about it. It's really stupid actually. It's really dumb that they have that in there, but I don't know. Okay.
Besides campaign, I never spend time in the Leopard.
Yeah, I know.
In
Same.
career
Yeah.
mode, there's no reason to be in the leopard.
I mean, yeah. If you want the feel of it, you got the barracks in the beginning, like right behind the counter. Left side is a market. You could do market stuff if you want that feeling of doing it. Don't really care. But yeah, okay.
Alright, so
No,
those are the
yeah.
free features. I mean, the value proposition isn't here because it's a free update, but I think for the people who aren't that interested in lore and having a campaign, um, all you really want out of this giant wall of text is gonna be the free features. So
Yeah.
I do think that's cool that the gameplay features, the things that just improve the game in general, are not locked behind a paywall this time.
Well, they
I
did
like
that
that.
with Hairbrain Schemes as well too. Hairbrain Schemes did the same thing with a couple mods or a couple DLCs.
So yeah, this is the really tricky thing. Is just the game modes. I wonder. I still had experiences where you would be swarmed, like with the older game modes. But because it's now, when you're doing auto-generated missions, there's so many much of the new game modes where they've figured out how to actually balance the game better.
Mhm.
You are still missing out on that content. But yeah, the main thing here I feel is just sort of mostly melee and mech switching. Those are the two big bullet points, and those are nice additions.
Yeah.
They're not
I
radical additions, but they're nice.
And now that you've mentioned it though with the game mods, they're not even on this list, the new game mods. They're mentioned, but they're not on there. So yeah, PGI, one way you can improve, proper patch notes, please, for Mechwarrior 5. Like this overview is cool, but I would like actual patch notes. Yeah, I think with the game mode, something that should have been way more obvious in the marketing material, the new game modes, wherever they aren't necessarily meant to be new content. They're meant to be an upgraded version of the game modes that already exist, with the intention that the original game modes are going to be replaced.
Ah,
Again, that's
okay.
another bit of information that we didn't get officially. I forgot who did it, but there was an interview again with Chris, the narrative designer, who just mentioned, yeah, these new procedural mission variants, they're just variants of the existing stuff, and they're better, and eventually they should replace the original ones. So they're meant as replacements rather than add-ons, and I think that should have been made clear on this bit
Yeah.
right here.
Okay. Okay.
Because people were like, I bought this DLC for new mission types, but they're the same. And yeah, that's a complaint I fully understand.
True. True.
There's
Okay.
one last thing in these sort of patch notes that they gave us, which is some known issues. Like, were quite noticeable for me. The AC-10 sound effects were kind
Yeah.
of missing right now, but yeah, I came across I think we all came across a few bugs or issues just sort of during our playthroughs. You know, I could see through flaws. I had issues with cockpit glass on a certain map type. I think Bob had that as well. Um, and with the very first mission, there's a spot where enemy mechs can get stuck. So I had a spider get stuck in a corner, and I had and oh Bob, I think you had didn't you have was it a centurion or
It
something?
was a Centurion in the same spot that your spider got stuck at.
Yes,
Yeah.
which it made it easier for me, but it was just a little bit. Oh dear, he's in sort of like a little cave and he can't figure out to run out of it. Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, and
I
I,
had a
I I
quick
did have one game. I did have one mission failed, so to speak, because they said go to the drop zone, and I did, but the drop ship didn't arrive,
Ooh.
so
Ooh.
I
Wow.
had to redo the whole mission again, and that was one of one of the campaign missions where you're destroying fusion generators.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had a quick draw spawn inside a rock. He could shoot out of it without trouble. The missiles would hit me, but I couldn't see it because he was obviously not my line of sight.
Hmm.
So that was a fun surprise. Took me a while to find him.
I think for me, I didn't have much. I had one crash, and then the one thing with the Centurion, and that's about it for my bugs. But I wasn't using any mods. So I took my mods out because I knew that the mods wouldn't actually be like implemented the first 26 minutes like of the game. So I took those out. So I didn't really have much.
Obviously, if just for future reference, if the game has a major update, please disable your mods. By nature of how mods are created, they are 99% of the time not going to be compatible with a new game version.
Yeah.
So just disable them, check the mod page, and the author is going to put a text there if it's compatible or not. Just wait for the mod offer to do his thing. Or
Yep.
her thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Please. And don't go complaining to BGI.
Yes. My game doesn't work. Well, what game you have? I got the game that's 3,000 mods in it. Well, yeah, it's not gonna work, dude. Sorry, it's not gonna work there. But yeah.
Yeah, no, Ian's frozen
He's
again.
frozen again.
We
Okay,
need
I
to
was
sort
waiting
your
for it.
problems out, Ian, because I was hoping for you to say, all right. I mean, I think we touched on all the little bits and pieces
Yeah,
that was offered in this big update. And so I think we're getting into like final thoughts.
yeah. Final thoughts. Let's do final thoughts then. I guess let's have Spider go. A simplified final thoughts, if you can.
Well, I thought perhaps it would be better if you went, but okay.
We'll go with you first.
Yeah, yes.
Simplified.
Yes. Well, I think I just repeat what I sort of said at the beginning that the game, it felt a bit cobbled together and it's rather bare bones to start with. And with the DLCs, it is a noticeable improvement. There is just so much more things to do and see. Um, I feel though, with these DLCs, as far as value goes, that's a big question. It's sort of like, is it worth, for me, it's like the 20 quid or so.
Hmm.
And it's like, I do really like the tailored scenarios that you can play through. There's a lot more love and care, and it gives you more variety to the game that is sorely lacking from the auto-generated content. The problem is you don't necessarily get that many scenarios necessarily. This one does give you a campaign, which is nice. But it does sort of force you to always be Davian, friends with Davian or start in Davian space because, midway through the campaign, you're going to have a huge campaign where it's really helpful if you have more negotiation points with Davian
Yeah.
and you're going to tank your reputation with the Capellans, which I guess isn't too much of a problem. But the Capellans are a nice, small, little, thin faction that are right in between several others, so they're actually useful to be friends with. Anyway, um, ultimately, it's like, yeah, the game is improved by the DLC, but stuff like extra mech variants just adds extra clutter, in my personal opinion, to the feature list. And I
Okay.
really don't care for that. Whereas the tailored missions experience, the campaign, this, that, and the other, I find it way more interesting. But for what you're paying for, it's not the best value proposition, but it does improve the game. So it goes from a 5 out of 10 to like a 6 out of 10 if you're willing to pay the buck.
Okay. I think for me, like, I see a lot of expansion basically for the Fourth Succession War because you got the Legion of Vega from Krita, you got a bunch of different units out there that are there, like from all different houses. Loud did some attacks, Merrick did some attacks, Steiner and Krita. There's a lot of different variations from the Fourth Succession War that they can add into it. Now they have a base game that all now they got to just do scripting for the missions and all that kind of stuff without doing from scratch. So I think that there's a lot of things they could do now because of, and Legend of the Kestrel Lancers is one of them. As far as the content, I thought it was good. I actually felt like I was part of the Lancers, even though I'm my own like unit type thing. They did a good job on that. The story, the lore, everything was accurate, which is a very big thing for people like me and probably Ian. Um, they added in the warship, which I thought was just an interesting biome that you can go into. I thought that was cool. As far as doing that, we have different opinions about the match, but yeah, I thought it was really neat though that you're inside of a warship. It's like, oh man, this has been around. This is like lore type stuff. Um, Gameplay wise and AI wise, it's nice they toned down the arcade style of the game itself from like before because it's more of a shooting gallery of shooting down mechs or shooting down like helicopters and tanks. That's a bonus. The lore, like I said, was awesome. I think it's worth $19. I think it'll be worth $19, no problem at all. If you're a lore hound, if you're like want to be immersed inside of a game, if you're just a person that want to go pew pew pew, then probably it's not for you. You basically just want to go shoot mechs and collect them, type thing. The issue I do have though is these have to come out for my interest to be in MechWarrior 5. These have to come out once every 2 to 3 months to actually gain my interest as far as this because now I finished the Lancers and now I'm just mech collecting. I'm just going around doing mech collecting of the stories from the heroes of Inner Sphere and getting all those mechs because I like the lore based stuff and if they do another type of DLC maybe a bunch of missions, a bunch of different types of missions that they plot together, or the different houses and what they're doing basically throughout the Fourth Succession War, or even War 3039, or like whatever, basically whatever they wanted to go and do. My initial thing was 6.5, but I think I brought it up to 8.25 initially because of this, because of the Kestrel Lancers, the lore, the content that they provided, the linear campaign, the extra, the mech variants I didn't really care for. It's like, okay, I got some more mech variants to pick from, no big deal. The animations that they did, the like cinematics was really cool. You're feeling part of the game. You're feeling part of the freaking universe instead of just, like I said, mech collecting 101, like doing that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm 8.25. What's that?
Yeah, one just quick thought. How long did it take you guys to do the campaign?
15 hours,
Just
I think. But of course, I was
yeah.
streaming the whole time, so it's a little bit different though. It's probably about a 12 hour, about a 10 to 12 hour thing for it.
Yeah, for me, my whole playthrough, starting in the Kestrel Lancer thing, doing a very min-max sort of lot of procedural missions, it took me 20 hours
Okay.
to do the whole Kestrel Lancers campaign.
It might have been longer,
Yeah.
I think, like 15 to 20 hours, but I
But
was streaming it.
15 hours or so, I would say,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
10, 15 maybe. It depends how quickly you want to rush through things.
Yeah. Plus, I was reading a lot too, so I'll read
Yeah.
all this stuff there. But, ooh, that's kind of cool.
I-
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, for me, I was kind of rushing through it because I just wanted to experience the campaign, knowing that I would do another playthrough as soon as the mods are updated. So I took the most direct route of the Kestrel Lancer start, the two new missions, and then the main campaign. And I think 16 hours each
Yeah.
was what I spent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think you can easily get to 20 hours with the new content.
Yeah, definitely. And a buck
Yeah.
an hour. I mean, come on. I mean, in 1 hour at a bar, I spend $60 to $70. So I mean, come on. This is no problem. This is no brainer. A buck an hour.
Yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
say
my
it's much
value
better
proposition is
than
always $1 per hour, and
Yeah.
especially since I paid less on Epic, I definitely already got my money out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's why I like the Kestrel Lancers. It's just that you can immediately get into those missions and play them. Whereas with the prior DLC, they were locked according to your mercenary rank.
Yeah.
So you have to play a lot of mech stuff before you could actually play the actual tailored
Yeah.
things, and that meant it was really hard to engage in that content. Whereas this, you can just go straight into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to add though, it was nail biting a lot of times as far as like, oh my God, my mech is so messed up, but I got to use it in the next mission because I have nothing else to go ahead and use. And so I thought that was really cool. How they did that instead of actually, you just prepare your mechs, wait, 90 days and you go jump in the mission. So they did a good job on that too. It was nail biting.
Yeah. I know we're supposed to just clone source, but 2 points Bob touched on. I want to give my impressions too as well. Doing more Fourth Succession War is could potentially be an issue because you're always only gonna be able to play one side of the combat. So
Yeah.
let's say next DLC is kind of the same story from the our point of view, then you as a player are choose to pick a side, which
Ooh,
on
that's
paper
good
is
idea.
cool.
Yeah.
In
Mhm.
reality, though, you're spending $40 and only getting $20 out of it, realistically, because you buy 2 DLCs, but you can only play one of them, really.
The
So
timelines overlap. Yes.
yeah, I prefer to follow this up with shortly after the end of the Liao Federated Suns War, we had the Draconis Combine
Jrnyman
engagement.
and Mechwarrior Canopus going against Merrick or I think Lao.
Yeah,
That
those
one.
guys also happened.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Reshalhag Freedom War. So there are still plenty of things to do that don't overlap. I think I would prefer that.
Chris,
And
just to shameless plug there. Mechwarrior Canopus, versus Lao. It's okay.
Canopus is boring. We don't care about
Oh,
Canopus.
please. Be cool, Chris. Be cool.
You have
What
to
I
do
am
one
gonna
step at a time. They
Okay.
started
Yeah.
with the Davians because they're
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the next most popular would probably be Steiner versus Kurita, maybe that part of the Fourth Succession War.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I do want to disagree though with your they would have to come out very regularly to keep me engaged. I'm gonna go the opposite way.
Mhm.
If there's a year or so between each DLCs, it gives me time to kind of forget the game for a while and then get excited for a new
Yeah.
playthrough from scratch. Because if the next DLC comes out in 2 months, I'm gonna be like, do I do another playthrough.
You make a good point on that, though. Yeah.
Probably not. I'm just gonna play new content, and that's gonna be a bit
Well, like
lackluster.
what I'm thinking though, like if they did like say War 3039 or something like that, and I haven't really played it that much, yeah, basically every couple months will be fine for me because then I'll be engaged. After this game, after this DLC, all I'm gonna be doing is mech collecting, and that's all I'm gonna be doing. So what I was thinking is, every couple months they pop up some type of new DLC, either weapons or like whatever, basically, or different mission types or like whatever. Basically, doesn't really matter. It'll keep me more engaged in actually doing those instead of actually just going, okay, so let me see what's in this market. Okay, Banshee, blah 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 blah. I already have
I
all
d-
these, so let me go to
I
the next
strongly
one.
disagree though, because you're not gonna play one playthrough for more than 2 months.
I have.
You're always gonna be done within a couple of weeks at most
No,
if you
no.
play the game semi-regularly.
Unless you're like a streamer doing one session every week or something, you're not usually
I mean,
spacing it out that
some
way
streamers are
much.
at 30, 42, or like 31, 42. So that they've been playing
Yeah.
for decades,
Yeah,
basically.
I also played until 3060
Mhm.
last time with mods, and that took me less than 2 weeks.
Mm. Well,
And to be fair, I play probably more than most people, but I wasn't like 8 hours a day. I have to play Mechwarrior. It
No,
was still
no.
semi-casual.
Yeah,
So
my
yeah,
my preference would fall on that. I'm happy waiting for a quality
yes,
DLC in the
very much.
future. I'm not in a rush necessarily to play again because the basic mech boxing is the same mechanics,
Mhm.
always the same, and the grind is I need time to cool down with the grind to be interested in it again.
Okay.
So
Valid
okay,
points.
my closing thoughts to just round us
Yeah, go
off.
ahead.
The DLC on its own for me is hard to rate because it's gonna come down to your personality. Do you like linear campaigns? Do you like the Fourth Succession World? Do you like the Federated Commonwealth? If so, this is gonna be great for you. Do you not like any of those? Then it's probably gonna be a skip for you. And I think that's fine. A DLC should be fully optional depending on your taste. So I think the DLC is great, but it's really hard for me to give it a number. What I can give a number though is the dropship edition, because again, at this point, it's $60. That's a normal AAA price for a normal PC game in 2020 and 2021. And I do believe at this point, Mechwarrior 5 with the 2 DLCs included definitely provides content worth $60. And that for me was always the threshold where I said in past episodes, once the game is like recommendable, I would give it the 8 out of 10, and that would be where I can recommend the game. And this is definitely a point where it reached Dropship Edition. 8 out of 10 for me. If you haven't picked up Mechwarrior 5 yet, I believe now is the time to give it a shot.
Okay.
Now it's definitely worth the money and worth the fun and playtime.
Yeah. Okay. Makes
I mean,
sense.
for me, I was my 5 out of 10 was saying, hey, if you're a fan of BattleTech, you can find fun in the original MechWarrior 5, and I think that was the case. With these changes, it's not just you can find some fun; there is a lot more fun to be had. It's kind of fun. But would I give this to somebody who doesn't really know BattleTech and all the build rules, this, that, and the other, with all the menus and stuff? Like the menus navigating at the top, just sort of accepting a mission, going and trying to find where it's on the map and stuff like that. It's still really clunky. It's better, but I still this does not feel like a Call of Duty or something where you pay that full AAA price and anybody can jump in and play. This is still quite a BattleTech fans game, and there are still issues with the mech lab and this, that, and the other. So for me, that's why I say it's still a 5 or a 6 for me. You still have to be a BattleTech fan, but it's certainly much more fun than it used to be.
Okay. I don't
Okay.
think I fully agree with that. It's obviously no Call of Duty where it's just basic FPS. Everyone who's ever played an FPS is going
Yeah.
to know how the game functions. So that alone always is going to make BattleTech a bit more difficult to get into. But I did on our D&D Discord, we tried to get our DM into the game, and he didn't have much trouble not knowing anything about BattleTech beforehand. We kind of just swarmed the Discord and we're like, mechs are cool, you should join us. And I do think
Now,
the game is
with
appealing
that,
to
you're
me.
asking him just to jump in a mech, right? To just do the shooting experience. He's not doing all the
No,
management and
the
everything else.
campaign.
Well, yeah, joining in your campaign. Was it
No,
like,
playing
how much
his own
assistance
campaign.
does he have?
Playing his own campaign.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
playing his
okay.
own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so
Yeah.
so you can give us an 8. I give it 8.25, and Biter gives it a 6 or 5
Let me
to a
pull up
6.
my calculator
6 or
to
so.
do a rounded score again.
6.
That's gonna be a 6 plus 8 plus 8.25 divided by 3.
What is it?
7.42.
7.42. So Mech
Holy
Warrior.
crap, isn't that exactly the Metacritic score of the game? Doesn't have a 74 out of 100?
I don't pay attention to those guys. I don't pay attention to all that crap, basically. But yeah, 7.42 altogether. So okay, not bad. Not bad.
I
Good,
think that's a fair rating.
good times. Okay,
So on Metacritic, it's 74 by the official reviewers and 5.3 from user ratings.
Well, the First Circuit podcast is an official reviewer, and our opinion apparently perfectly mirrors the average official review on Metacritic. I
After
don't
they've
think that's a
released 2
good thing.
DLCs.
that's not a good thing, dude. I never
don't
listen.
think that's a good thing.
I never listen.
After they've released,
Yeah.
the Metacritic is going to be on initial release. Is one thing to note.
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
Okay. Everyone, that was the First Circuit podcast of episode 155. Thank you for being here. Tonight's usual hosts are Ian.
Bye-bye, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Bob, myself, hey, and Biter.
Blarg.
Did out of order, but okay. Anyways, you guys have a good night. Thank you so much for supporting the First Circuit podcast and being part of the community for BattleTech. You guys have a good night. We'll see you on the battlefield.